Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for being here with us this morning. I'm State Representative Lori Stone, and I represent the 28th House District, which includes West Warren and Centerline. Before we get started, I'd like to extend a special thank you to my fellow colleagues in the Progressive Women's Caucus and the Legislative Labor Caucus and all our ally organizations joining us this morning, including Mothering Justice, Planned Parenthood, Restaurant Opportunity Centers United, SEIU, the United Steelworkers, and the Michigan Building and Construction Trades Council. Today, we are fighting to return power back to the people of Michigan where it belongs. Today, if the hardworking people of our state want to enact a new law, we must empower them to exercise this right to make their voices heard and their votes count at the ballot boxes, which is exactly what my resolution would ensure. Currently, our state constitution allows the legislature to accept, reject, or propose alternative ballot initiatives before they are presented to the Michiganders for statewide vote. But in the last year, the legislature used this important responsibility to insert itself between those looking to make meaningful change in our state, to intentionally rob Michigan voters of the right to decide for themselves on each initiative. And even as I speak, the legislative majority is gearing up to rip away yet another opportunity for Michiganders that would make their voices heard and their votes count for all over again. Through 2 anti-choice petitions gathering signatures to target Michigan's women's bodily autonomy. But this is our chance to make things right. I'll now turn things over to my colleague, State Representative Brian Elder, to expand on the impact the legislature's actions caused for the people of Michigan.
Good morning, everyone. I want to thank Representative Stone for your leadership on this important issue. I am State Representative Brian Elder, and I represent the City of Bay City and the surrounding areas in the 96th District, and also serve as the chair of the Michigan Legislative Labor Caucus. As Michiganders, we know the meaning of hard work better than anyone, because it was the working people of this state who helped to give birth to the American middle class. For decades, our working class jobs provided a rubric for other states to follow, including strong wages that kept up with the cost of living and good benefits that ensured folks could take care of themselves and their families when building a future. Despite the opposition of corporate CEOs and well-connected millionaires, hundreds of thousands of Michiganders joined together last year to reaffirm our commitment to strong wages and good benefits through 2 statewide petitions. But in response, Republican-led legislature took an unprecedented step of subverting the will of our people by adopting the One Fair Wage and My Time to Care initiatives, only to gut them during lame duck. They stole from our people who were simply fighting for Michigan values, the values that our state was built upon. Fair wages and the right to care for themselves and their loved ones without risking their job or their economic security. My colleagues and I believe that Michiganders deserve better than to be robbed of their chance to make their vote count by the very people sent to Lansing to fight for them. And I know that most Michiganders feel exactly the same way. So when political games and personal interests stand in the way of our voters making their voices heard, it's now our duty to stand up and say enough. Not for ourselves, but for the working family just trying to put food on the table. For parents needing to take time off from work to care for a child who is sick, and for all Michiganders getting left behind by partisan tricks. The people of our state should have a powerful voice, and it's time for us to listen and give them what they want. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm very happy to turn it over to Pete Vargas from Restaurant Opportunities Centers United.
Good morning. In late October 2017, Michigan One Fair Wage began circulating statutory initiative petitions to create a new minimum wage law here in Michigan, which would raise the state minimum wage for all workers, including those receiving tips, to $12 per hour in 2022 and respectively 2024. In May of 2018, Michigan One Fair Wage filed nearly 400,000 signatures in support of their respective proposals with earned paid sick time. After review of the Bureau of Elections determined that there were sufficient signatures to certify a proposal for the ballot, divided among party lines, the Board of Canvassers voted not to move One Fair Wage forward. This decision was later overturned by the Michigan Court of Appeals, and Michigan One Fair Wage was ordered to be placed on the November 2018 ballot. Upon receipt of our proposal in September 2018, the legislature adopted both our proposals in order to keep them off of the 2018 general election ballot, and then, of course, essentially gutted them during the 2018 lame duck session. Subsequently, the Michigan One Fair Wage proposal was enacted as 2018 PA 368, and the MTTC proposal was enacted as 2018 PA 369. During the lame duck session, Governor Snyder signed the 2018 PA 368 and amended to 337, including the minimum wage that would not reach $12 per hour until 2030. The sub-minimum wage for tipped employees would continue, and the inflationary adjustment was removed. Similarly, during the lame duck session, the legislature enacted the inflationary adjustment was removed, excuse me. At this time, I would like to thank Representative Stone, Representative Elder, and the Labor and Progressive Women's Caucuses for holding a press conference here today in the House to announce the introduction of a joint resolution to amend the Michigan Constitution to repeal the provision that allows the legislature to adopt initiative petitions. On behalf of the nearly 500,000 signatories, original signatories of the original ballot initiative, and the 1.2 million low-wage workers in Michigan that would have benefited from the original language as scheduled, we thank you and your continued efforts to protect direct democracy. Although we are still waiting for the Michigan Supreme Court to opine on the constitutionality of what happened during the lame duck session, we still applaud all initiatives to protect and recognize that even more important than our partisan politics and who controls the House or Senate at any given time is the true protection of our direct democracy and the respect for the process and integrity of the Michigan Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Ms. Aisha Wells from Mothering Justice.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Pete. So I work for Mothering Justice. It's a social justice political nonprofit that advocates for mamas of color by changing policy for economic equity. When the act started in 2017, Mothering Justice signed on to the My Time to Care campaign to enact the Earned Pay Sick Time Act. This act was designed to help every working person receive paid sick time regardless of full-time or part-time status, despite their industry, your educational level. Once passed, the Earned Pay Sick Time will help industries that needed it the most, including but not limited to food, retail, hospitality, and childcare. Earned Pay Sick Time will also help those workers that fall into the sandwich generation, caring for both their child and the parent at the same time. Those individuals that also qualify as the working poor, and individuals who needed a second job to supplement their income. While moving this campaign forward, Mothering Justice was able to receive over 300,000 signatures of Michiganders who exceedingly agreed with the law as it was originally wrote. This included our wonderful canvassing team, our community of volunteers, our coalition partners, who took time away from their families' obligations, such as parent-teacher conferences, sporting events, dance recitals, and other meaningful activities to work towards a solution that will benefit them and their employees. The way the act is now, both the cure rate and maximum allowed cure rates were lowered. As an example, myself working in part-time, a minimum shift for me is 5 hours. And over the summer, my son was ill and became ill and was hospitalized. In the 4 months the law has been passed, I was only able to accrue one shift, and that's only 5 hours. In other words, due to the changes that were made to the bill, those 5 hours I accrued were wiped out in merely one life event. The law also was supposed to cover employees less than 50. The way that they rewrote it, it took it down. It took it back up to 50 employees. And all other references to domestic partners were removed from the law. As a state and as a country, we are significantly behind in family-friendly policies. Lawmakers are supposed to uphold the integrity of policies and represent their constituents and enact the laws that voters want to pass. In the future, Mother and Justice nor other organizations should be in fear of having their bills severely modified. Thank you so much, and I will pass it over to Representative Stone. Thank you.
Thank you. In the end, allowing the legislature to exert its political will on the ballot initiatives process undermines the core tenets of a representative democracy. And thanks to the actions of the legislature during this time last year, we know this scenario is no longer hypothetical. Our Republican-led majority has also made it very clear that they have no problem allowing their personal beliefs to speak for all Michiganders. Without this resolution, they will enact these proposals into law while robbing Michigan citizens of the opportunity to weigh in on the issues through their votes. We must join together to stand up and take action so that we may fulfill the responsibilities of our democracy as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. This is your state. And that means ensuring you can exercise your right to use your voice and your vote to write the next chapter of our shared story.